Hello, my name is Lily Barr, and I will be presenting my 4 tips for success for future educators. This presentation will be guided by my experiences teaching children and observing my mentor teacher, as well as my applicable knowledge of psychology taken from this class. This presentation will cover my 2 field reports from this semester and student teaching and the insight gained from each. Later in this presentation, I will integrate information from both field reports into my 4 tips for educator success. I will conclude this presentation by summarizing my findings, emphasizing my success tips, and reiterating the significance of a sound psychology background as an educator. For my first field report, I chose to investigate subjects from Module 1, Teaching and Learning. My questions covered a range of significant topics in education that impact the professionalism and success of an educator, as well as the degree of student learning and motivation developed and supported within the classroom. Topics range from the qualities of a successful educator to the most inspiring aspects of a classroom, but can be read in full below. These questions include: what are the qualities of a successful educator? What will a successful educator prioritize in the classroom? How does an educator establish and maintain appropriate student teacher boundaries? What habits does a successful educator have? And lastly, what aspects of a classroom best orchestrate student teaching? My findings from the first field report revealed a lot about how a teacher must think and act in order to be successful in their field and in fostering learning and motivation among students. I learned that a successful educator will possess, among many other successful qualities, compassion, empathy, the ability to encourage and engage their students, and the ability to maintain firm boundaries and expectations in all aspects of their life. A successful educator models individuality, but also models appropriate, comfortable, and versatile dress. A successful educator will prioritize color, decoration, organization, and flow in the classroom. Color impacts a child's mood and the energy of a classroom, determining whether an area seems chaotic or calming. Decoration can impact motivation and a student's feeling of belonging in the classroom. A student who feels valued within an educational community will work harder for their learning. The organization and flow of a classroom determine how accessible materials are for students, either strengthening or weakening motivation. I discovered that flow was the greatest determinant of classroom success. Successful teachers prioritize forming meaningful relationships with students and maintain expectations with a firm but loving attitude. Lastly, successful teachers take time to reflect on their methods, assessing what behaviors can stay and which must change. For my second field report, I decided to investigate the subject of student motivation. My questions surveyed a range of topics within this subject that determine how an educator inspires their students to pursue learning. Through learning about forms of motivation and their causes, educators can better meet their students' needs and persuade them to meet both educational, curriculum based, and personal goals. Questions I asked that explored education and its sources include, or motivation and its sources include: what is motivation? How would motivation present itself in a 5-year-old? What are the driving factors behind motivation? How do students attribute their failures or successes? And lastly, how can I efficiently increase motivation in my class as an educator? My findings from the second field report inform me of the many ways that motivation, the negative or positive force driving actions and decisions, presents itself in students. Students can be motivated by aspects of a classroom that reinforce expectations and stir inner shame, such as behavior clip charts, a classroom management tool I have witnessed in my student teaching semester. Shame, even from other students, can be a negative or positive motivator for change. Shame can either cause behavioral growth or backfire and result in more adverse classroom behaviors. The completion of goals and the reward associated is a common motivator. These goals and rewards can be computer generated, such as in Happy Numbers or Lexia, or provided by the educator, such as Fun Friday and Extra Recess. Extrinsic motivation, motivation spurred by outside incentives, was the most common form of motivation in my students. Personal interest is the guiding principle for much extrinsic motivation and excites students into action. Motivation can also be developed through competition and former experiences of success, such as the thought, I did it once, so I can do it again. Positive self efficacy, the belief that one is capable of success and determines their own victories, is greatly influenced by an educator's emphasis on critical thinking, independence, positivity, and mating in, in praising effort over natural ability. To start off my tips, I would say my first tip for educator success comes from my site based supervisor at my placement, who, in an interview conducted for the first field report's completion, plainly stated that students do not learn from people they do not like. This is a reason that, as I learned while completing my first field report, it is so important to foster and maintain student teacher relationships. I learned through experience and observation that when an educator truly displays empathy, students will feel more understood and respected as individuals. In turn, you as an educator are viewed as an adult worthy of trust and as more capable of meeting a student's needs. To keep your students' respect, you must advocate for their education by meeting their educational, social, and emotional needs, as well as communicating with their parents if any educational concerns arise. Instead of being told you care, students will see that you care through your actions. Ask students about their weekend or the previous evening. Say hello and good morning to students who walk past you in the hallways, even if you don't remember their name. Start conversations and give appropriate compliments. Students know you need to care about them in order to care about you. Then students will listen to firm directions and stay within expectations established by tough love. Technologies that can help express empathy in a relationship to your students include flexible seating for children with issues in concentration, speech translation software to communicate with non communicative English language learners, and calm down corners for children with emotional sensitivities. My second tip for educator success was derived in my observations for and completion of Field Report 2. In studying student motivation, I discovered that educators who understand the main forms of motivation for each student and their causes can best inspire their students toward success in any subject or goal. Tip number 2: learn what makes each student tick and provide opportunities for students to pursue that in whatever it is. Students, and people as a generalization, cannot reach their fullest potential without a motivator, whether the cause of motivation is a raise, a job, or a life changing phone call. Forms of student motivation appear in many ways. One student may be motivated by reward, while another student may be motivated by shame. Provide these varying motivators to your students to optimize positive educational, social, and behavioral growth. Let students pursue what motivates them. Technologies and strategies that correspond with this tip include implementing behavioral charts, offering reward, inflicting shame, and providing extra recess or free time. My third tip for educator success was fully realized while observing and teaching at my student teaching placement. My mentor's class features several students who exhibit severe behavioral issues daily, in addition to students who, due to conditions including autism and ADHD, do not often present the golden standard of classroom expectations, such as a polite attitude and a willingness and enthusiasm to achieve. By forming a meaningful student teacher relationship with each member of her class, my mentor teacher is aware of these differences and responds to each difference accordingly by differentiating expectations. My third tip for educator success is to individualize high expectations as an educator. As witnessed in my placement, what is achievable for one student may not be achievable for another. Praise students when their specific individualized expectations are met, no matter how simple the standard may seem to outsiders. I teach an English language learner in my placement who, upon our first interactions, could barely say hello to me. Now he blows me hearts when he leaves school and inspires his classmates by repeating that they are doing a good job. Praising his effort and maintaining his expectation of learning English is gradually paying off. No goal is too simple as long as it can be built upon to form more advanced goals. Be patient, encouraging, and reestablish these expectations until they are met. Technologies and strategies that correspond with this tip include using formative assessment to evaluate data and create realistic educational goals, and differentiated instruction to grade or motivate each student. My fourth and final tip for educator success was derived from my observations of and interaction with my mentor teacher's classroom during the semester's placement. While fulfilling tasks for my mentor teacher, including snack preparation, worksheet creation, and more, I noticed that the classroom's flow simplified how I completed my work. The organization and flow of the classroom enabled me to find materials more easily, as they were placed in labeled and color coordinated boxes. When surveying books for potential read alouds, the categorization and flow of the shelves made the perfect book that much easier to find. In operating from a student teacher's perspective, I cannot emphasize enough how significant a clean, well deliberated classroom organization and flow can be in bolstering a student's learning and comfort in reaching goals. My final tip for student success is that the classroom can teach qualities of education and responsibility that an educator may not fully convey alone. The organization and flow of the classroom can influence a student to establish independence and engage in problem solving skills. Technologies and strategies that can assist an educator in establishing a successful classroom organization and flow are color coded bins, customizable labels, and thinking about classroom navigation from the perspective of the age of the students they teach. In conclusion, my four tips for educator success were guided to creation by my knowledge obtained in this course, as well as my experiences gained through observing and teaching children. In assessing my knowledge derived from both this course and my teaching experiences, I realized the importance of an educational psychology background as a successful educator. Knowing how and why students act and respond in the way they do, as well as how to alter these behaviors, assists a professional in gaining success in their field, in addition to better relating to and serving the needs of their students. I hope that in relaying my teaching experiences, I can assist members of this class in their own teaching, Have a great Thanksgiving, and thank you for watching.